I was asked, are you happy with the racist president? I said, certainly not. That's why we replaced him with Donald Trump. Y'all have a blessed night.
I love this one, man. So apparently, we've been living through the longest running racist timeline in American history. When you think about it, a man who, according to the internet, on the left, has been racist 40 years straight, but somehow, he was taking pictures with everybody. I mean, he laughing with everybody, he hosting everybody, he also praising everybody. I'm just saying, y'all make it make sense. You see that, that's not even an argument. It's a whole punchline right there. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I gotta get this screen bigger. Y'all, since Twitter made this update, transitioning has been crazy. But anyhow, that's the punchline. Are you happy with a racist president? The man said, nah, that's why we had to replace him with Donald Trump. That was the perfect line, man. I'm gonna have to use that. That's the kind of sarcasm that only works when people are tired of the script. I'm just saying. Because the script, that thing, it's been running and running and running for years. Now, let's look at the bigotry timeline that, everybody's so concerned about.
Black patriots fought and bled on the battlefields of the American Revolution, and they really did. When you read the history, what they gave up. They gave everything to smash the chains of slavery and preserve our nation, and they did it with incredible bravery. They helped win the Wild West, tamed the skies, and saved freedom in the Second World War. They're warriors. From the very beginning, black Americans have been a vital part of the American story, helping to make this the greatest nation in the history of the world. So true. Thank you. We thank you.
Yeah. But y'all see what they did there? What they put on the as the caption in the beginning? It's a timeline of Trump's bigotry. And they put that over footage of him smiling, shaking hands, and over footage of him hosting events with black people. It's almost like the editor is saying, hey, look how racist this looks. And then the speech hits. Black patriots have been the backbone of America, he says. Obviously, y'all can, the sarcasm in that. If someone truly hates a group of people, why would they publicly be praising their, why are they publicly praising their history during, a national event? You don't have to like them. I'm just saying. You don't. But the timeline, it gets weird. Because the Democrats can't, when they see all that, how do you say he's racist when you watch that? Now, let's rewind even further right here. So the bigotry timeline includes boxing events in the 80s, public appearances, photos with civil rights figures. And now suddenly, decades later, the story becomes simple. He's always been this. That's how they say it. Always? Really? Because the receipts say something more complicated. And complicated doesn't trend as well as outrage, if you know that. Now let's talk about outcomes, because we know sarcasm, that's one thing for sure. But reality, that's a completely different thing.
And since I took office, African American employment has increased by 182,000, the highest ever. Jobs. 182,000. Nearly 500,000 black Americans have rejoined the labor force since we took office. 500,000 wages for workers have increased $1,000, $2,000, even $3,000, and even sometimes in some cases $5,000 a year. That's faster than inflation. So wages have gone up at a much faster clip than inflation. And since I took office, African-American employment has increased by...
I'll tell you what. You're not going to see mainstream nudia. I can't even talk. I said nudia. You're not going to see mainstream media. What is wrong with me? You're not going to see them post that part. You know, here's what he does. He shifts from labels to numbers, employment levels, labor force participation. Critics argue percentages, supporters argue totals. But here's what matters. When someone sees movement in their life, they don't go ask Twitter for permission to fill it. They don't. Now, let me go and get up out of this screen and let's move on to the conversation of culture, because culture tells you how the room actually feels, right?
Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters. How about Nicki Minaj? Do we love Nicki Minaj? Right? I love Nicki Minaj. She was here a couple of weeks ago. She's so beautiful. Her skin's so beautiful. I said, Nicki is so beautiful. Her nails are like that long. I said, Nicki, are they real? She said, she didn't want to get into that. But she was so beautiful and so great. And she gets it, you know, more importantly, frankly. Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters.
That's what's up. Yeah, man, y'all see, look at the room, man. Like the laughter, the applause, that energy, you felt it. That doesn't look like a crowd terrified of a racist tyrant. I'm just saying, just like people relaxed in the space. And shout out to Nicki. Again, you don't have to like the style, you know, that's not the point. You can definitely dislike the style. You can dislike the personality, but the comment about him being hated by everyone, that whole narrative, no, it's starting to get wobbly. My fault, y'all. I'm really distracted trying to get these videos prepared and also do my usual. It's just gonna take a little adjusting. I'm gonna get it right though. You know, and like I said, it's starting to get a little wobbly. Now let's bring it down to street level, because this one next level, this one right here, they hit a little different.
Donald Trump and all of his supporters are racist, or at least that's what they want you to believe. I borrowed a friend of mine's Jeep for the day, and he's got a Donald Trump bumper sticker sticking all across the back of it. And as I'm pulling into Walmart, there's this other gentleman that was pulling in about the same time as me. So when we park, we get out, we're kind of walking alongside each other. He starts up a conversation, and he asks me, hey, what's up with the Donald Trump bumper sticker? Don't you know he's racist? All those MAGA people are crazy white hillbillies, and they're all racist. And listen, that's the perception that people have. But then I start telling him, the friend that let me use the Jeep, he is the stereotypical MAGA supporter. How liberals would like to paint all MAGA supporters, how they look, this is how he looks. Older white gentleman, wears a bandana, ex-military. Not somebody you would typically think would be a great friend of mine. But let me tell you about this man. This man has helped my family, has been there for us, has been a great neighbor, a great friend. He opens up his home, his car. We have keys to each other's homes. We're the best of friends. Never one time has he ever said anything to offend me. Never one time has he ever judged me. He actually took me to vote for my very first time. We both voted for Donald Trump together. The point that I'm saying is I have received more love and acceptance from the right than I have ever felt from the left. When I like to call myself a liberal, all I spent my time doing was pointing at everybody else, what they're doing, what they're not doing, instead of talking about what I believe. So guys, perception isn't always reality.
Boom! That's the story right there, man. Perception versus reality. Stranger in the parking lot calls you a racist by association. Neighbor quietly helps you vote. No hashtags. You don't know. Just action. That's where narratives fall apart, because lived experiences doesn't always match the headline. No. And now, Whew. And now we arrive at the moment that ended the debate. No montage, no irony, no sarcasm. Y'all, just grandma.
Come on in. Thank you. Yes, you can. Thank you. Thank you. That's so nice. Thank you. I like her. Please.
I like him too. One thing I like about him, he keeps it real just like Grandma. I appreciate that because I can trust him because he tells exactly how he feels and what he thinks. Thank God for this president. I am filled, my cup runneth over. Because he allowed his constituents, his people to come to my house to interview me, to talk about the murder of my grandson. It seemed like nobody cared. I'm an advocate for murder. I marched. I rallied. I pulled out other families in the District of Columbia that had murders and did not have answers. Ooh. We marched and we rallied, and nobody heard me, Democrats. Get mad at me. Until this Republican sent his constituents, his people out there to interview me in my home. Have you ever heard of a thing? Then they invited me twice before Congress to testify for the beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life. Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh time. Just that simple. And then we need National Guard, and which we did years ago. He brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off of him. And Grandma said it.
Oh man. Wow. That was great. That was classic right there. Woo. Yeah, this wasn't calculated, y'all. This was, this wasn't, I don't want to say media train. This was conviction. Get off of the man's back. Man, I felt that one in my spirit. To let him do his job. Back off him. Back up off him, as she said. You can disagree, whatever you want, but you cannot fake that tone. I like how she pointed out how the media are going to try to twist that. So I wanted to make sure I said that. When support shows up where it's not supposed to exist, obviously the narrative cracks. Not because everyone agrees, but because the bigotry timeline stops being clean and becomes messy. And messy is harder to weaponize. Grandma didn't debate policy. She didn't, argue no statistics. She stood up there and said, hey, enough. And that's why this is going viral right now, y'all. Because sarcasm is funny, but conviction is rich. And if you watch this thing all the way through, I want you to write timeline. Yeah. That way I know you made it today. Y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Oh, before I get up out of here, let me see. I don't think I got nothing personal to talk about. Ziggy, turn on living room lights. Right now I'm just trying to figure out investing stocks and all that right now. So if anybody know anything about that, chop it up with me in the comment section. I just opened up a 401k. I feel grown. I feel like an adult now. I know I'm going to have some comments hey, why are you just now doing that? Hey, I didn't know. So that's the chapter I'm in my life. So, had nothing to do with this video, at all, but I love y'all. Be safe. Go check on somebody today. You can go ahead and literally be saving their life. Peace.